Good morning, YouTubers. It's been a while since I've shot any video, but it's time. This is gonna be one of my ramblers about what? This is why I tie flies I will probably never ever fish, and why you should too. And we'll just do a little zoom out here. So yeah, I'm gonna turn this thing around so I can see myself. Yeah, that's good. Morning, YouTubers. This is going to be a video where I ramble and talk about why I tie flies I will probably never ever fish, and why you should consider doing the same thing. Okay, I'm going to zoom in now. I got my nice shirt on with a good color for the background. Okay, so in the background I'm going to be tying a tarpon fly, which I will probably never fish. I've got a whole box of tarpon flies I'll probably never fish. Why do I do it? Well, they're probably the most basic reason. By the way, you know, the rambling's more important than the fly tying details, but these are from a saltwater cape. They call it bass and saltwater capes, and it's not the main part of the neck, the main part of the cape. These are the little round stubby feathers on the side, and they're really nice. You can barely see this here. They have a nice little curve to them, and they have a very thick stem. And what that's going to do is it's going to give them a little pulse, and it's also going to keep them from wrapping around the hook shank, which is good. So this can be a purple and black theme for baby tarpon or snook. Use feathertail, marabou, and then grizzly hackle. But let's talk about why I even tie these things. Now I want to make this shorter than those. Let's try that. So I started doing this a few years ago. I got enthused, and part of it was because, you know, Chris would like me to do a wide variety of flies for the blog to engage people in different parts of the country. You know, not everybody is stuck fishing for trout or steelhead. And so that's kind of how I got started. And it went far beyond that. And what it is to me, I think, in essence, is at a rather late stage in my life, I have discovered, and maybe it's rediscovered, I don't really know. I've discovered the joy of being a craftsperson. I have discovered the joy of tying a wide variety of flies and working on my skills. You know, when I grew up tying flies, here comes a cat. We didn't have YouTube. In the 60s, we didn't hardly even have any decent books. If there were books, they were usually geared towards East Coast dry fly kind of stuff. It was all good, but it didn't help me much out here. Now how can I reduce the bulk of this? But now we have YouTube, and again, rather late in life, I have discovered how much I can learn from people all over the world on YouTube. Tying flies and teaching me stuff I didn't even know how to do. I've been tying flies for 55 years. And I'm learning stuff I didn't know. Techniques or proportions. It's really been nice. It has really been nice. So I worked on, come on, cat. I worked on, I've gone through phases. I've worked on So just recently I tied up about 400 really nice Euro nymphs. And these days I pretty much just fish on the coast of Oregon. We don't really have any place I can fish Euro nymphs on the coast. But they're kind of cool little flies, and they're popular, and boy, they sure look nice in those little fly boxes all lined up. But ouch, I knew that was going to happen. Well, I didn't know it was going to happen, but it did. The point is, what's the point? Some people say, and it's true, Euro nymphs are fairly simple flies to tie. You can do them very quickly. They're small. But I struggled at it because it's been many years since I've done much trout tying, especially in the smaller sizes. And I really had to I just realized this cat's going to make a terrible background for this fly. Oh well. So I had to practice my proportions, and I had to steady my hand and figure out how to get a bead on a fly, a slotted bead on a fly, on a jig hook properly, and how to keep my tails from being way too long, and things of that nature. And it probably took me 100 of these little nymphs before I got it right, before I felt like I had it right. And then with each different pattern, it's learning how to manipulate the materials. And that was a challenge. And I'm really glad I did it. It was a lot of fun. I now have some really nice boxes, really nice Euro nymph boxes, and who knows, maybe I will go. But in the meantime, I'm just perfectly happy having them right in my fly box here in the garage. It's actually just fine with me. So tarpon. Same deal. I actually did the tarpon flies well before I did the Euro nymphs. I did them a couple of years ago. I tied a bunch of, I actually went to Baja, and it was fun tying those flies, and those flies were a challenge. My gosh. Oh, saltwater eyes all over the floor. Come on, kitty. Every time I've gotten it, but you can't do just a couple. You can't do a half dozen Baja flies or a half dozen Euro nymphs. I think not if you want them to come out right. I think if you want them to come out right, you need to do 100. You need to do 200. Because, and now perhaps you can, perhaps your skill set is such that you can just pick up a new pattern, a new style, and just wail on it and just get them really good. I haven't found that to be the case myself. So I have to, I've typically new materials, new hooks, different sizes. I have to work at it. And the first many flies just don't come out. They just don't. And now, would they catch fish? Sure. Would they be guide flies? Sure. But they just aren't. Come on, buddy. They just aren't really what I'm looking for. They don't, as a craftsperson, they're not good enough. So that's why I go through the process of tying 100, 200, or more perhaps. And is it worth it? It absolutely is. Because when you do that, you sharpen your game. Now, this fly is not going particularly well, but that's okay. You sharpen your game. You do develop the skills, the dexterity, the feel, the look for proportion with these other flies that you wouldn't if you only did a couple. I hope you appreciate the challenge. Oh, that stuff is just dripping way down there on the bottom. There, I might have salvaged that. Boomer does not make this easy, does he? You know, he'll get bored of me after a while. And he'll go over and take a nap on the pillow stack over there behind the camera. Anyway, this is just my awkward way of saying, you don't have, I'm encouraging you not to just tie the flies you fish. Because if you do, I think you're missing out. I think you're missing out if you only tie flies that you for sure you're going to fish. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Drop my fly boxes. Don't even know if I showed them to you, but trust me, I've tied some nice Euro nymphs. I've tied some tarpon flies, and I've tied some pike and musky flies and who knows what else. Because it's fun, because it tests us, it teaches us new skills, and that's what a lot of this is about. And I know you know that, but I'm not sure if I really adequately understood it myself, so I thought it might be worth saying so. Meanwhile, here's my little tarpon fly, Everglades fly, purple, black, grizzly. I'll bet that'll catch smallmouth on the Umpqua River here in Oregon, on the Willamette. Have a good day. Have fun tying flies and get fishing if you can. Thank you for joining me. I do not want this fish to get in the brush. God, I can't believe it.